we go.
Stand by for technical difficulties.
All right, yeah, stand by for technical difficulties, as Matt was just saying. So I'm going to kind of start over again because I'm recording this also for YouTube later. So again, we are live paranormal, and we are doing our first paranormal chat. We're going to talk about our investigations that we'd like to go on, things that have happened during them, go over some of the equipment we use and so forth. Again, nothing fancy. We won't have the budget for something like that. Maybe one day we can have something cool, but everything's pretty basic. We'll talk about some of our own experiences, like prior to, maybe why we do what we do today on this stuff. So, it's all kind of a part-time hobby, if you will. We all have to work real jobs, 9 to 5, so pay the bills. So, getting to some investigations can be a little more difficult. Because on the sad side is you have to pay to go to a lot of places, and that can be kind of a pain in the butt. So anyway, I'll start things off talking about my own. So I actually said this earlier. Again, Wayne, Matt, Kim. I said that earlier before I got the other recording going. So the other recording actually will get posted to YouTube later. So we got a new YouTube channel. So it'd take a while for us to gain subscriptions on that to where we can go live there, because there are requirements for that. So please look us up on YouTube and subscribe. It's free. Having YouTube is free. So get your own and look us up and subscribe. So experience-wise, like when I was a kid, I had some experiences. When I was little, there was always this shadow guy that showed up at the apartment I lived in. And I specifically remember seeing him all the time laying in bed, and I could see right through him. And he'd just stand in the doorway, and it would freak you out. As a little kid, you always got freaked out about that stuff. So I've always kind of had an interest in it. And I don't know, 10 years ago or so, I went on a couple investigations with some other friends, and it really piqued my interest to get involved myself. So about around 2016, I sat down with Matt and started chatting with him about doing these things, and he was all gung-ho for it, and we've been doing them since 2016, and then we eventually added Kim a couple years ago. Matt and I have known each other for about 25 years. Mm-hmm. I've known Kim even longer from school, so we're all pretty good friends, so it makes it easier when you can trust each other out on an investigation, especially when places are dark and scary and in neighborhoods you've never been in. It helps a lot to be able to trust the people you're with. So, Matt, tell us, if you got any experiences prior to joining the team and
nothing really too much. Did a couple impromptu investigations where nothing really popped up, but I've always been kind of interested in it. I remember checking out the books at the school. I went to Avon and checking out the books at the library and reading up on all that, and really didn't go on anything real investigative wise until we started up, and so we've seen a few things, and it's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, Kim?
I'm probably the skeptic of the group. I mean, I think our energy has to go somewhere, but I also think there's a rational explanation for a lot of what goes on. So that's the interesting thing for me, is to see it from that side. The ones I've been on, we really haven't had anything that I can point to. I mean, the Monroe House was probably
the closest,
the creepiest vibe feel of all of them that I've been on. But again, I've only been on 5 or 6, I think. Since I started, so.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Monroe House has been probably one of our better ones. Matt and I recently went to the Monroe House, and we didn't feel like we got much at all. It was just the two of us last fall. But I was reviewing some, and I'm apologize ahead of time that I don't have the video to show you now. It is on the Facebook page here, so you can find it. But I was looking at that stuff just the other day before all of this, and looking down. So typically we'll do a pray in and pray out, like when we start an investigation. And Matt and I got to the Monroe House, and just being the two of us, we kind of grabbed some equipment and started in and kind of got a little ahead of ourselves. And Matt remembered, hey, we didn't do our prayer and stuff. So we stopped. And right at the moment we stopped and we're talking about starting our prayer, we're in the house and we're kind of in an area where you come down a hall and you turn to this room, and we're standing kind of in that area there. And as we're talking about doing the prayer, I felt like what felt like a cobweb had touched the back of me. And I just kind of blew it off and I was like, it felt like cobweb. And then it did it again. And again, I thought it's just cobweb, but I didn't see any cobweb. Couldn't find it. So anyway, we go on and Matt does the prayer. And then as soon as the prayer's done, I start moving around again. I got the camera. And as I'm moving, the camera kind of went past and you could see down the hall behind Matt. And there's a doorway and there was a little bit of a light on back there. And we caught a figure standing in the doorway. And it was pretty wild. And I looked back at it a number of times to try to figure out if it was something else. And I don't think it was. I think it was actually a figure. So that is on the Facebook page. So if you get some time, take a look at that. So there's some still shots of it, some photos I took off of the video, and then the video itself is actually on there. So it's pretty cool. I got more of that to go through now. I'm a little more interested in listening to it to see what else we picked up. Matt's you got spooked one time in the basement there at the Monroe house.
Tell you what, it was interesting how I was being down there, and it's towards the end of the night, probably 3 a.m, whatever, and it was interesting because you could feel the energy, you could feel that the static electricity intensify as I just sat there. So, and it was an odd type of feeling. It was an odd type of static electricity where you could feel that it was a energy that really didn't want me in there at all. So yeah, I went and I got Wayne so he could experience it also, and it was the Monroe house. We've had a couple things there.
The basement definitely has.
The basement
The
again.
basement
that's where I was.
there.
It was down
Very
there in the
creepy,
basement.
yeah.
And there was a couple times where I'd ask the spirit to answer the, and sure enough, right after that you'd hear, on the other side.
Knocks.
So
We got that at, I'll jump off of that location for a minute. When we went to Reverend Acres out there in Charlottesville, Indiana,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
we got some knocks back on one. We didn't hear them at the time we did it, but when we went outside to get away from the house for a moment and re-listen to our recorder, we heard it on the recorder, but we didn't hear it back when we were in the house.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool to hear it. Makes you want to go back in again. So, but back to the Monroe house. Many years ago, in our first visit, I think it was that year it was freezing cold.
Oh
out.
gosh, yes.
It was like below zero outside, and they had at the time didn't have any heat in that house at all. So there was this tiny little space heater that sat on the floor, and there was a handful of us in there, and we all took turns standing in front of the space heater at times to try to warm up just a little bit.
So funny.
Yes.
And it was you missed that one, Kim. Yeah, you missed that one. Probably it was cold, but it was still fun. And on that one, so I was videoing. I was upstairs, and my brother was with us. A friend of ours, Michelle, was with us. And upstairs, and I'll try to lay this out a little bit. You come up the stairs. You can go down this hall, or you can go straight down another hall. And going this way, this used to be an apartment, so about in the middle there, there's the kitchen, dining room area, and then it goes on the rest of the hall to a bedroom. And there's a bedroom and a bathroom. And if you go down this other hall this way when you first come up those stairs, back that way there's another bedroom. So back in there, we had left some candy and stuff because supposedly there's a child spirit up there, so we're trying to entice the child spirit. We're all down in this bedroom here, and my brother, myself, and Michelle, and we were talking about that candy. Michelle was talking about going to go get that candy. And I was holding the camera down the hall, so I'm looking back this way. And at the moment that I specifically remember turning my head and looking at her and asking if she wanted to go get that piece of candy. When I looked at the video back, at that very moment, a shadow went across from one side of the dining room to the kitchen area, right across the screen. And we actually do have a clip of that, and I'll load that up here real quick. Matt, do you remember that investigation when it was so freaking cold?
Yeah, and towards the end also too, I do remember thinking I really don't care if we see anything else. So I just want to get in a warm car.
It was really cold.
It was.
I need to get to.
But yeah, that was our first one at a well-known, well-documented house. I'd been on a show called Paranormal Lockdown a couple times.
Yes, this
with
house here.
Katrina Weidman and Nick Groff.
Nick Groff, yeah.
And they. Oh.
Just gonna pause it here. Go ahead and finish.
But yeah, and when they first got there, they had all kinds of experiences too that they showed. And,
Keep talking.
Well, and they go a little more, like we always, at least the ones I've been on with you guys. Like you said, you pray in, you pray out.
Yes.
Respectful. We don't try to be antagonistic. None of us want to bring anything home with us.
No.
God no.
So, a lot of the shows I think that get some of that violent stuff, I think, tend to be a little more
Yes, they do.
antagonistic in these places than I'm comfortable with.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all of us.
I'm a chicken.
Well, and with regards to some of the shows on our TV, and I'm not saying that any of these aren't legit. I think some of them are a little over the top. Keep in mind that it's TV. It needs to have an entertainment value, if you will, to stay on TV. Because if it doesn't and nobody's watching, the network's not going to keep it. And I know recently there's been a lot of talk out there about a certain network and a certain individual and his show, and he's had a hand in kind of canceling others' TV shows and so forth. And I won't drop the names on that, but I think if anyone who follows the field or follows the shows and so forth, you probably know what I'm referring to. So I'll leave it at that, and you guys can draw your own opinion. So anyway, here's
Drama based.
Yeah. There's one out there. He's quite the drama queen. So I won't mention his name. Zach. We're gonna show this clip real quick, and I'll turn it back off after it goes through. But so if you guys can see it, I don't know if you can see it very well on the thing, but so there's a hall.
There we go.
And you can see the light a little bit there. So as this goes, you'll see it, and when that goes across, it kind of takes out that light. Right there. So I'll go back real quick. Just a little bit.
There is nobody walking through there at that time.
We'll run that one more time here. Right there. That was such a good catch.
Yeah, there's nobody walking through.
Yeah. And I don't know what it was.
And again, that's the thing. We're not going to say it's a demon. Oh my gosh, it's a possessed demon.
I honestly don't believe it was any sort of demon or anything. Here's what I think about that. So the story behind that apartment up there that I have heard, that I found online, some information about it, that at one time it was a rental. Somebody rented that apartment on the top there because that's the second floor of that house. The gentleman who had lived there was, his name was Steve. He was a truck driver. Apparently, according to what I found online, Steve was killed in a trucking accident in Muncie. And so that would be my guess, is that is Steve. He's back at his apartment, because theory is that your spirit goes back where it's comfortable, or trapped, if you will. Sometimes a sudden death can leave your spirit trapped in that location. But so my guess is it's Steve. We've tried to reach out to him before, like using his name and stuff, but I haven't got any direct responses in that, so maybe it's not him. But that's who I think the shadow was. But maybe one of these days in our trips there, trying to confirm it. I have this thing about Monroe House. Like I said, I've been there 3 or 4 times, and every time after I leave, even after the last one, Matt and I went last fall, and we didn't feel like we got a lot. Now that seeing that shadow figure in that one, it's like we did get stuff that we didn't realize we got. I just want to go back again, so I just feel like I have to go again. So
yeah, I think it's fun though. The spirit box we got. There's a couple things that popped up when we were there in the Monroe House that last time. Where, for example, there was a room that I wanted to go investigate, and I said, let's go over here. And there's a room Wayne wanted to go investigate, which is right next to it. And he'd say, no, let's go to this one. I'm saying, no, this one, no, this one, no, this one, no, this one.
We banter back and forth on investigations
like that,
sometimes, so it can,
and so
it can
I
be
said,
a little entertaining.
So I said, all right. I said, let's find out. So I said, all right, spirits. I said, this is room, we'll just call this room number 1. We'll call this room number 2. Which one do you think we should go to first? Which one should we go to? Room 1 or room 2? We waited for a few seconds, and sure enough, out of the spirit box, you hear 2. All right, well, let's do 2. So,
well, and we've been on investigations before, I think the first one we went to in Mitchell, Indiana, that cabin. There were comments about they were trying to figure out where we should be and asking the spirits, and they would say stuff like basement, or outside or something. So then you go out there and then you get hits when you're out there. So,
yeah.
Okay, they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't want you there, but they're okay here, and they'll communicate a little if you're there. Maybe it's just where they're most comfortable. All I can gather. So.
And that's a good segue. You should go into equipment since you were talking about.
Absolutely, Kim. So we use a lot of basic equipment, like I mentioned earlier. This is probably our favorite device, or Matt's favorite device, the K2 meter that lights up. So Matt loves one of these. He doesn't go anywhere in an investigation without that in his hand for the most part. And then he recently bought a new K2 meter. It's a little bit different. It's got, when you go ahead and light that, it might make some noise here, but so it's got 2 levels on it, and the top one's showing your electromagnetic field, and then the bottom one's showing your milligauss. So it's kind of doing 2 things at once, which is nice. So it'll be fun. He just got it, so we haven't used it on investigation yet. What I think will be great about it is taking it and using it alongside the regular K2, and if that thing spikes, to see what that does with its numbers. I think that'll be interesting. Yeah, absolutely. These 2 pop-ups keep coming up on here. Okay. And then we use a basic recorder. None of this stuff is expensive. It adds up, obviously, but trail cameras, these are kind of new. I just got some of these. They're motion censored, so we can leave these in a room, walk away from it, and then check them later to see if we've gotten anything. We tried them at Monroe, and we double-checked the pictures on them. I don't think we got anything on those at that time, but doesn't mean we wouldn't. Here's our spirit box. This is the SB7 spirit box. It's been around a long time. There's a lot of new ones out there now. Some people develop new ones and so forth, but we use that still. It's pretty active. You get some good words on it. You got to be careful, though, because it's running through radio frequencies, so you got to really listen to see if you're really getting something back or if that was something from the frequency that was just scanned past. But I like it. It works great. We use basic cameras as well. This is just a little handheld, which I've had issues using that before. I think at Monroe last fall, my camera kept acting up and it kept shutting off, turn it back on, shut off again, turn back on. And I was only 20 minutes in. The battery on that thing should last, hours and hours, but it just wasn't. We ended up leaving that room, and then we were going to go outside to look at the gravestones and stuff that were out there. Picked the camera back up, took it outside, and it worked just fine. So, I don't know, weird, but, that kind of stuff happens. They try to suck the juice or the energy from your batteries and so forth, I guess, to try to communicate with you, which is fine. Better than they doing that to your own self and taking all your own energy out and wearing you down. But they do that too. The other thing that we like to use, and I use it on the cell phone a lot, there's a ton of apps out there you can get. Most of them are junk, to be honest with you. I won't sugarcoat it. Most of the apps are crap. But there is one app, and I got to using that one because when I was, before I started the team and I went on a couple investigations with some friends, they were using this app, and so I was kind of following with that. And ever since then, I've been using it, and I used it here in my own house. And we actually reached out to the older gentleman who used to live here, and he left a couple names. That app, actually, let me describe the app. So it's kind of like a radar, and it spins, and it's kind of neat looking. But it'll give you a word. I don't know if you have that, do you? You haven't? She'll pull that up, and we'll show it to you. And it'll give you a word. And so we were sitting in our living room one day, and the wife and I, and we were trying to get a hold of him, and we weren't using his name. And all of a sudden, asking, who was here with us, and his name popped right up. So turn this the other way. Oh, fix that.
Oh, ad. See, I'm too cheap to get the ad free.
Yeah, that thing does jump ads now. It used to not have ads to it, but now it has all these ads in it. So anyway, his name popped right up. You know, of all the names in the world, at the time we asked for his name pops up. And then we asked him to confirm it, and it said yes. So it's like, I have no doubt that this app works. I've gotten so many good responses out of this thing. And this is kind of what that app looks like. So you can get it right off the App Store. This is iPhone. I imagine Android has it too. Turn that thing off. It's called Ghost Radar. They got a few different ones on there. This is the original. It's the classic. The app will be in red, so get that. But I caution anybody who does this stuff on their own for a number of reasons. Careful if you're opening up a doorway to the spirits. And on the other side of that caution is careful what you're asking. Be prepared for the response. Because you may hear something you don't want to hear. So, I caution that. Just be ready for it. It could be something that's very emotional. It could be something that's very scary. Or it could just simply entertain you. So just, take it cautiously and do what you will with it. But I like it. I think the app works great. I've done solo sessions with it here in my house, just on my own at times. I've used it a lot. All over the place. So those are some of the basic things we use. To leave anything out, really. Besides,
no, that's about it.
We got walkie-talkies and stuff to keep in touch with each other if we're separated for any reason.
We use the light net someplace.
Oh, we do. We use a laser light too. We do have a laser grid we can shine. Use the laser grids because you're hoping that something will break that pattern. Like if something would walk through it, a shadow or something. So I haven't gotten anything to do that yet, but fingers crossed one day that happens. That'd be pretty darn cool. Is there anything else that we typically use? That's about the only thing we use. So a lot of times when we're on investigations, Kim's usually running our camera for us. So she kind of stays out of the talking points of the investigation, and Matt and I do a lot of that stuff. And sometimes I'll run cameras too because I don't know that we trust Matt to run cameras. No. But, Matt enjoys kind of taking the lead, if you will, a lot of times. Sometimes he goes a little rogue, and he doesn't wait for us to gather some equipment together. He'll grab his K2 and he runs. He's gone.
I tell you, I
like,
know.
I just want to see if something's here. And his I just want to see is like, I want to see, and then he walks in another room. I just want to see.
Yeah,
an hour later, you're just wanting to see still.
And while he's still hooking up the computer an hour later or two, and I've tried to also, and I've also tried to, tell the ghosts.
You gotta hook cameras up. Sometimes.
Exactly. I try to tell the spirits also, look, everybody, don't do, spirits. I know you're here, but don't do anything yet because Wayne's hooking up Facebook.
Right.
So we have to wait for Wayne to,
he's got to wait on Facebook.
So the spirits are sitting around doing this,
because we all know it's not legit until it's Facebook legit, right? It's not official till it's Facebook official. That's what they all say. Yeah. Anyway, hey, I'm not going to totally knock Facebook. We enjoy it. We have fun with it when we do these live things. But I'll mention we are transitioning. A lot of stuff is going to transition to our new YouTube channel as time goes on. But we got to build that. It's a process, slow process. We're not as popular as some of these places, so knock on wood. Excuse me. We'll work our way up there. Other investigations or places you want to go? What do you think, Matt?
There's such a wide number.
We were talking right before we started. Waverly is a place. Kim's visited it before. Matt and I have not. We definitely would love to go there. You've been there, so tell us a little bit about your trip that you took down there.
I just did the public tour, so it was. But there's just a vibe in that building. I mean, just even if you stood outside looking at it,
it's enormous. I mean, just seeing it on TV and stuff, the building looks enormous.
People died there, so there is definitely an energy.
Yeah. And I think associated. Most of the paranormal shows have all been there too.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah, it's a big one.
But there's a couple, there's that Randolph County Infirmary or whatever that is.
Oh, the Randolph County Asylum.
Asylum, out there. But also too, just right here close to home, is the old insane asylum, or whatever they call
Central
it.
State.
Central
The
State.
old Central State. Yeah.
I've heard there's a lot of things that happen there.
Yeah.
There's a good chance also too. You talk about it, we might be hitting up the Slippery
I
Noodle
was just
here.
gonna say, there's
Yeah.
got to be.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a place we'd love to get into. It's got some new ownership, and I know one of the owner guys. So one of these days, hopefully, I can get to sit down with him and chat and get in there. But I watched a couple videos. There's a video on YouTube, and I believe it was their general manager was talking about some of the ghost stuff and spirit stuff that's happened in that building, and it was a really great video. I'd love to sit down and chat with him one day because I really enjoyed watching that video that he had out there talking about different things. It was really cool. So look it up. Slippery Noodle there on YouTube. Look that stuff up. It's downtown Indy. Go down and eat, man. It's good food. It's a nice place and great new owners. So they're going to keep the tradition of the place going, and lots of good blues music and other music. So go enjoy that. So there's my little perk for Slippery Noodle. Kind of unannounced perk there, I guess. Yeah, not sponsored. They don't give us anything like that. Just I don't have a problem perking somebody that's a friend or something, so I don't mind doing that. It just kind of happened. Matt brought it up, so
I mean, it's a good place.
Add that 2 cents into it. It's all good.
Yeah, it's got all kinds of stories and things like that. The Underground Railroad was underneath the Noodle. I had a couple rooms down there, and they've got an old brothel from mid-century 19th or 20th century.
Yeah, the upstairs I guess, was a
and
brothel at one time.
there's they say there's something up there too. So
I was trying to look on this. Sorry, folks, I'm scrolling on.
And honestly, too, another reason why we're doing this is in case we have a viewer who says, "Hey, you know what? Something's going on at my house."
Phone, is it?
There's something going on at my house also.
It's not showing me who that is.
I'm not really showing, or I'm not really sure what's going on.
I'm still.
Let us know. Let us know. Give us a call. Give us a holler somehow, and describe to us what you're seeing at your house.
Yeah.
And we'd be happy to come on out and talk with you and see if we can figure out with you what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a few people call us before, and we've been out and checked out their home and stuff, and sometimes it's been nothing, and sometimes it's been very little.
And here's the warning part on that. Most of the times it's nothing.
Yeah, most of the time
it's not anything about the it doesn't say anything about the homeowner, but
no. And it's not so much that it may be nothing, but it may be innocent. The spirit may not be there to harm you or something like that. It could just be residual and something that just kind of rotates itself through time over and over. But we're happy to help anyone out. We did that for this one lady. Her and her roommates were having some real issues at a house. This was out in Avon, Indiana, and they weren't too worried about it for a while. They'd had some hair tugs and things like that were really spooking them out. But the one that kind of crossed the line for them was when the one gal had woke up and looked up and saw what appeared to be wet footprints or footprints on her ceiling. That kind of sent her over the edge. And so, she made a call to us, and we went out and looked at it. And she was the sister of one of the people that has done investigations with us. So went out there a few times, and I think I visited that house 3 or 4 times. And the last visit we did, her sister and I, who has helped on investigations many times, actually did a cleansing on the house. And we were not sure if it was going to work or if it was just going to piss off the unruly spirit even more. But we did it, and apparently it worked because everything seemed to have calmed down after we left. She doesn't live there now. It was a rental at the time. But, everything seemed to settle in after we were done with that. But what was great about that, and this was kind of exciting, when we finished that cleansing, I had that radar that I showed you a little bit ago up, and for no reason at all, the radar just came across and said, safe, home. And it said it twice, back to back, and we didn't even ask it to. And it happened right after we finished the cleansing, so kind of reinforced that maybe we did it right, and we got rid of the unruly spirit that was there. And the good ones who were left behind are happy now. So, we'll see. Hopefully, whoever moved in it afterwards doesn't have any issues. But where do we want to go besides Waverly and Randolph Asylum and any place we've been? You want to go back? Let me ask that question. Besides Monroe, I always want to go back to Monroe.
Yeah.
I like that place.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know.
I was going to say, I've told you before that I think my late mother-in-law is still in her house, but the lady who owns it doesn't want to stir the pot.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Is that the condo?
No, the
No.
house in Lawrence. It's a house in Lawrence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
she won't let you. I think I
Yeah.
remember you mentioning
Yeah.
that before, but she
Yeah.
won't let
I've
anybody in.
I've
So,
tried. She won't let us.
you know, hey, that's going to happen, but,
Mhm.
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my friend who rented from her before said, I know Shirley's still here. Probably.
Well, if we could ever get a chance, we'll try to get in there.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I can't think of anywhere, go back to again. I'm just ready for some new adventures. And,
Yeah. I'm trying to work on one to go to, and I won't mention it yet because there's nothing set in stone, so I won't get too excited about it. But it's good. It would be on Good Friday, so Friday night and Good Friday overnight. I'm trying to get that one locked down. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if it does, we may have something in a couple weeks here. So we'll be happy to, do some live stuff from that location if we can. So we'll just see. Again, it's one of them, unfortunately, that we have to pay to go to. So there's some logistics that we got to overcome for some of that to get it confirmed. But fingers crossed, because it's one we've never been to before, so it's a new one. So we'll see how that goes. But
Or also, too, send us your suggestions. Where we should go again?
yeah, absolutely. If you know a place or you've got somewhere we can get into, especially if it doesn't cost us any money, or if it's fairly inexpensive. But yeah, we would love to go and we'd share our findings with you. Maybe you could join us on it. We'd be happy to take one or two people extra with us. It's sometimes it's fun taking a new person because they're not sure what to expect, and they get a little spooked sometimes. But sometimes they surprise themselves by really being involved. So. Yeah, please let us know. You can, drop us a message on Facebook. Our email's on there. You can shoot an email to us. Be more than happy to talk to you about a location or just share one that maybe we can look up ourselves and go to. Yeah? Any extra 2 cents you want to throw in there? No? All right. Well, that was kind of our... Huh?
I said I don't have to get a word in edgewise.
So, yeah, we went... What time is it? Well, not going quite as long as I thought.
40 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes.
It's because it's a beautiful day.
I know. It's probably really nice outside, and everyone's outside doing stuff like they should be instead
And we're in a dark basement.
we're sitting in a dark basement and not doing a whole lot and sharing a whole lot, I guess. But, hey, it's fun. It's about just keeping communication with everybody out there. So if you didn't have the chance to watch live, that's fine. The video will be on there. Watch later. I'll get the recorded version for YouTube up, and we hope to hear back from people. Drop us a line anytime. We're happy to talk to you. So we'll sign off here, and we'll do another one of these. I don't know, a few weeks, maybe once a month or something like that. Just got to see how much we got to chat about, and we'll try to do them at least once a month, unless things pick up. Like I said, we all got work full-time jobs anyway, so we're a little busy with normal life. But we're not going to give up on the paranormal life either. So it's something that really entertains all of us, and we want to entertain you guys, and hopefully find some answers to what's between life and death, because I believe there are answers between that, and it'd be great to be able to solve some of these questions that a lot of people have. So questions I got. So anyway, we are going to sign off. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you at the next one or on the next investigation. All right, now I got to end this one.